Hello, 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 and welcome to 52 Weeks of Flow, the podcast that delves into the depth of human potential and the transformative power of flow. On this show, we talk about peak performance, flow, energy, and bridge the gap between science and woo-woo. Through authentic stories and real-life examples, my guests and I will help you dive into your superpowers and create your next level of success. My name is Bea Marie Neen, neuroscience geek, flow enthusiast, and your guide to rewilding yourself. I'm on a mission to raise the frequency of the planet by supporting you to untame yourself and step into your flow. Today, my guest is going to reveal how she found her true calling by leaving corporate finance. Hello, hello, hello. And now let's dive into this a little bit deeper. Heather Stewart is a dynamic force in the wellness world. She seamlessly marries her background in corporate finance with her dedication to holistic health to help guide transformative coaching experiences for her clients. She found her own escape from the societal expectations of a career at the expense of health and vitality, and now helps other midlife women do the same. Using her Thriving Life Method framework, she helps overwhelmed overachievers create a new roadmap to the life they want to live. And I am really excited to dive into this with her. So welcome to the stage, Heather Stewart.
Hello. I feel like there should be a fanfare after that kind of introduction.
Right? Right. Maybe I'm going to add that. Yeah, but I'm so excited and I'm so grateful that you're here and that you're sharing your story with us. I believe that a lot of women in today's world are so stuck and so sick of being stuck in this corporate world and don't know if there is an out or how to get out. And you did it.
I did
So
it.
tell me, what was your pivotal moment? What was the aha effect where you said, I need to leave?
So it's interesting. The universe sends you nudges along the way. And then if you're not paying attention, it gives you a big smack. And I'm sure that you've probably experienced this. So I always knew that while I was good at what I was doing, I wasn't loving it. But like you said, this is what you're supposed to do. And nobody ever claimed that they loved working. And I thought, okay, this is my lot in life. I get promoted and I I go higher up the chain, which means I work more. And money just didn't seem to be a good reason to have to work more. And because I was so stressed out, I actually started taking yoga after work to
Mm.
help with the stress. And of course, what is this strange thing where you're rushing to go somewhere to relax? Like, this is a weird idea right there. So one day, I had a lot of things that, a lot of deadlines. My mind was really occupied with all of these things that I needed to get done. And I was rushing to get to yoga on time. And I live in Toronto, and I was driving through this very busy intersection. And there was a pedestrian in front of me. And I was like, what the bleep bleep are you doing in the intersection? And I looked up because the pedestrian looked at me like I was crazy, and my light was red. So I was driving through a red light, and I had no idea that I was driving through this red light. And I've been practicing yoga for a little while now, and I suddenly thought, oh my God, like, this is not mindfulness. This is not connectedness. This is not helping me in any way. I mean, it's helping me become aware that I'm so disconnected, but there's the harmony didn't exist, that I wasn't like working in a place of harmony and then moving from each aspect of my life in a harmonious way. It was just like screaming up and down the roadways and rushing to this and rushing to that, and hopefully finding a moment of peace in yoga was what I was using it for. And that when that I still that look at the person's look on their face when I drove through the light, I just thought this has to change right now. And um, I'm amazed I didn't get hit when I drove through that intersection. Everyone else must have been paying attention at that moment, and I was the only one not paying attention because everyone should have been driving when I drove through. And I made it to yoga. I talked to my yoga teacher a little bit. It's like, this is so crazy. And it suddenly snapped everything. It's like it's kind of a harsh treatment, but it's like I got slapped in the face and suddenly I was paying attention to everything. And I said, okay, so my job isn't serving me right now. What do I need to do to make this change? What do I need to do to make this work for me so that I can be in a place of harmony? I've stopped using the word balance because balance is like this strange tip of point, and you're always tipping and you're always fighting. I'm like, let's just be in harmony, many aspects floating along. And I love that you just gave me we'll do the Zoom clapping. And that was kind of the point where I just went, oh my God. And I've had one or two of those since then where it was just like the universe going, Heather, a little further this way and a little boot, and a little further this way and a little boot. But that was the first time where I thought, oh my gosh, I really need to pay attention to the signs that are happening around me. I hope that never happens to anyone. Right? I mean, we all have our own wake up calls, but I prefer them not to be in a way that's life threatening for anyone. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I'm really grateful that you made it through the intersection alive
Yeah.
and awake.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and second of all, I love that you said harmony over balance. Because
Yes.
this is what I discovered for myself as well. We're like what you said, the tipping point. We're always balancing. We're always in this really fragile act. But it's not about, being so on our tiptoes the whole time. It is about bringing harmony. It's about bringing wholeness to ourselves, to our lives, to the lives of people around us if we serve people.
Hmm.
So I always say that I am here to bring harmony to the world, like
Right.
one person at a time. So thank you so much for touching on this.
Yeah. And if you think about balance, if you find balance, it's a static point,
Mm.
right? If you are in balance, it's static, and there's no learning, there's no changing, there's no growing. So would never want to be in complete balance because it's kind of, there's nothing after that.
Like in Yoga Warrior 3.
Yes.
You have to be in perfect balance.
Now, that's like a balance with the ability to adjust as things, the earth is moving. But if you think about a balance where it's just uh, unmoving, I mean, even tree pose, like tree pose is balancing, and
Mm.
dancer, you're balancing anything where you're on one foot. But there is a harmony in the movements of that yoga pose where you're in a dance with the effort and the ease of that pose. There's an effort to hold a space, but if you fight it in a rigid way, you fall over. You have to be flexible, like you have to be adaptable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I always paint the picture of a German oak tree
Mm,
and a bamboo.
right?
A German oak tree, it looks really steady. It looks really strong. And it's like, yes, be the oak, stand tall, stand strong. And then all of a sudden, there's a really big thunderstorm and it just breaks. There's a lightning hitting it and it just, breaks into two pieces.
Right.
But then you have the bamboo and the wind comes and it just bends. And then it
Yeah.
stands up again. and it bends, and it's so beautiful to see. If you have ever Google it, Google, please, everybody listening right now, Google thunderstorm in a bamboo forest. Like this,
Ooh,
it is so soothing to see that, where all those bamboos just bend and then they come back up. And bamboo is the fastest growing tree in the world. So you don't break, you bend, you're flexible. Like you just said, in yoga, you need to be flexible, you need to be adaptable. And that's what a bamboo is to me.
right.
It's the ultimate symbol for growth.
Yeah, there's a reason they use it in construction in areas where it grows naturally, right? It's
Yeah.
strong and it's movable
Yeah.
and it grows really fast. Why
Yes.
wouldn't you use it?
Yeah. Okay. So we jumped topics a little bit. We wanted to No, it's all good. It's all good. I love stories. I love painting pictures, and I'm bringing that to make the theoretical visible.
Yeah.
So you had this epiphany, or this moment in the intersection where you discovered, okay, my job is not fulfilling me anymore. Like how then did you take the leap into the unknown?
So it took me a little while because I wanted to not just act impulsively, although what I did will seem impulsive. I'll preface it with that. So I took some time to pay attention to actually everything
Mm,
because I wanted to see everything that was going on. So I looked at my job and I said, okay, what is it about my job that I'm that is feels like it's sucking the life out of me? And but what there was parts of it obviously that didn't. There are parts of it that I enjoyed, especially the people that I worked with. Like there was nothing wrong with the location or the people or the support. It was just the work itself that I was really not enjoying and the amount of time that it took. I mean, I would sit 12 hours a day at a computer, and we know that's not healthy. And I was looking at my physical health. I was doing yoga to help me with stress and to be healthy, but I had also injured myself in yoga because I was not taking proper care of my body and not necessarily mindfully paying attention. I was looking at my relationships, how are they supporting me? And I when now that like the method that I developed actually has 6 aspects, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was developing the program by looking at it all for myself. And I realized that I needed to make a bunch of changes.
mm,
So I was married at the time and trying to, communicate and have conversations about struggles and what was going on. But that wasn't progressing. Let's just say it wasn't progressing. So it'll seem drastic and impulsive what I did. One day I just said, no, this is for me because I really need to take care of me because there's something else for me. And for me to be able to bring that into the world, I have to take ownership of my life and
mm.
make decisions for myself compassionately, being compassionate with myself and the people that it's going to affect, because knowing any decision you make does affect the community around you, but you still need to be your first priority.
Yeah.
So I quit my job, I sold my house, and I got divorced all at
All
once.
right. It's like, okay, if I'm gonna do it, then I'm gonna do it right. Wipe it all away.
Yes, and that's not to say that it's for everyone. You don't always have to throw everything away, but as I looked and I laid it all out, I said, "This is what I need. This is what I need to reset." And because I was completely pivoting at 180, I was going from corporate finance to wellness. And that's very, I was going very left brain to right brain. I make a joke that I have this superpower that I can walk with a foot in the um, finance world, the corporate thinking world, and in, I mean, I say it a bit flippantly, the world of woo. I have a foot in each world. So I can I can speak both languages. And some people, that would not be the right move for them because it would throw them too far off of their path. Some people, it's just they need a little tweak here and there, and maybe it's a new job or a new company, or maybe it's a new partner. But I needed it all. So it all went. And I went to India for 3 months to backpack around and be in my zone. Really.
India. It's
Yeah.
always India. Most people that I've talked to who left corporate America said, okay, I backpacked through the whole world, or I went straight to India into an ashram or into, a yoga camp or do an Ayurveda core cleanse or something like that.
Right. And I
And
didn't have any plan when I went. I landed in Delhi. I had loose plans of places that I wanted to go. But I landed in Delhi, and co-yoga teacher who I had actually started teaching yoga at that point after work because I wanted to incorporate more yoga into my life. And a training that I had done, a teacher that I had met came with me. We decided to go together and just backpack around. And yeah, so it was very loose planning. But by letting that planning be loose and letting it unfold, I actually got to spend a week in Dharamshala with the Dalai Lama at his residence, listening to him give a lecture that was not on his calendar. I found out about it when I was in Bodh Gai from a monk that I was just doing a silent retreat with for a couple of days. And she told me that he was going to be in his residence. And I thought, what? And it was internet cafes back then because not everybody was so wired in. So I'm in the internet cafe looking up, it's not on his calendar. So I sent an email, and I got an email back from the office of His Holiness telling me where he was going to be and when and how to go. And I thought, I'm going back. So I'd gone all the way across the country to go to Bodh Gai because that's where the Buddha became enlightened, and I wanted to see the Bodhi tree and all of this. And then I took 24 hours back across the country to go back to where I had been to see the Dalai Lama. Yeah. Magic happens when you just like be open. Let the blessings come, right? A lot of times we're blocking the blessings. We just don't know it.
yeah. I want to dive into this, but before we dive into this, let's go back to when you said you laid it all out in front of you. Like,
Mhm.
what did you feel? Like, how did that feel like?
Uh, it was overwhelming and scary as hell. And um, I didn't at the time. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just thought I'm. One of my friends thought I was having a midlife crisis. You
Mm.
know, he was actually going to have me committed to the asylum because he took me out for lunch because he said, I wanted to look in your eyes just to check to make sure you hadn't gone off the rails. And he was prepared to put me in the car and take me to the mental health facility that day because I was changing so much. Because you have these agreements, these unwritten agreements with your friends that you will be this way and I will be this way. And I was going a different way. Like I was just like, this isn't working. Something's not working. So I had to kind of really be okay. I had to, because coaching wasn't a big deal then either, right? Nobody
Mm.
really said, oh, I've got this coach. Either you were in therapy because you were crazy, or you just sucked it up, the keep calm and carry on, because my background is very British. So it's a very keep calm, carry on kind of vibe. And so I had to I had to be able to find some quiet space. And I started a meditation practice back then. I actually started my meditation practice before I started my yoga practice. And I was inconsistent way back then. But I discovered that if I could just sit and not think about anything just for a minute, it would like calm that sense of like this tornado going on around me. I could just kind of sit there for a few minutes and say, no, everything's okay. I'm going to figure it out. I just needed some time and space to figure it out. So 5 minutes, I started it at that time. I would just meditate for 5 minutes. That was a big deal. 5 minutes. Now I'm like 30. That's hardly enough. But sometimes that's all I have time for. But that's like over 20 years ago. So being able to find a quiet space and finding that I actually, I mean, she wasn't a coach, but I did talk to my yoga teacher a lot, who became a friend of mine because she didn't have any vested interest in what my life looked like. She didn't have any preformed agreements with how my life should be. So, and she wouldn't tell me what to do. She would just ask me a question like, well, what do you like about this? Or what don't you like about this? Or, you know, how do you feel? Basically, how do you feel? And um, I found it really helpful just to have a space to be able to get a sense of my internal world and what was really going on. Like, was I pushing this away because of a fear of failing or not being good enough? Or was I pushing it away because I felt like there was something different that I needed to do? Because sometimes we feel like, well, I'm good at this. I have to do this. No, you don't. It's, yeah, I was good at being an accountant. That doesn't mean I have to do that,
Mm.
or you've invested so much time and energy into a career that leaving it seems crazy. Like you've planted your stake and you have to stay there. No, you don't. You're allowed to change your mind. So I had to come to terms with this huge life investment that everyone thought was my forever, and me saying that's not my forever, that was my then, this is my now. So I feel like I'm answering your question by coming at it from all different directions, but am I making sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're dropping so many golden nuggets there. So, because you said meditation,
Mm,
because you were talking about your meditation practice, and because you were talking about the Dalai Lama, I'm going to
yeah.
butcher this probably really, really bad, but the Dalai Lama said once, if you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, make it an hour.
I could see that. Yeah.
And I really, really love that because, like, just like you, I also started with inconsistent meditation practice, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then 2 weeks, I didn't meditate at all. And I always thought, oh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. This is, but actually, when you start meditating, you create so much more time.
Yes.
So I,
Because your mind is just not, your mind has a chance to integrate and be creative
yeah.
in that quiet space, right? I read a book called mm, Be More, Do Less. And it
Hmm.
was about how if you're always like they were using brain science, and it was if you're always problem solving like this work, the creative side of your brain never gets to come in and give you any ideas.
Yeah.
So that's why people come up with ideas in the shower, because they're not thinking about anything in particular. So their creative brain goes, yeah, what if we did this and this? And it can make these connections that your logical brain can't.
Yeah.
So it was saying you need that downtime from work, problem solving, work, thinking, to just daydream. Sometimes if my clients say, I'm not going to meditate, I'm like, daydream for 5 minutes for me. Just daydream, because you can get some of the same brain states of just the unplugging. And it seems more fun to them to daydream than to meditate. So I'm like, okay, go with it, run with it, have fun. And it's true. Like, if you can't make 10 minutes for yourself, then you should take an hour for yourself,
Yeah.
because you probably need more than 10 minutes. When I was a massage therapist for 14 years. So when I went from corporate and teaching yoga. I went into teaching yoga and I became a massage therapist. And I would tell people that they needed to sit and be quiet and that they needed to do a little bit of exercise. And I had this quote on my website that was, 20 minutes a day of movement. And you can have the other 23 hours and 40 minutes for whatever else you need to do. But how about just 20 minutes for yourself so that you can? Or I also had a cartoon that said, would you like 20 minutes a day or would you like to die? It was basically that. It's like 20 minutes a day of movement or death. Which one would you like? Right. So
Yeah.
we always put ourselves last, especially women. There was a survey at one point where it prioritized the things in their life, and it was like their kids, their husband, their dog, then themselves.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense on any scale.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of, if you're not number one, then you don't have the capacity to give the fullness of yourself to those things that are important to you.
Yeah. I just learned something the other day, or I heard it, but it really resonated with me. And so I learned it again. If you, the way you show up in one area, that's the way you show up in all areas. So if you don't show up for yourself, you don't really show up for others as well. Not for your family, not for your business, not for anything. If you
Right.
just do things half-ass, that's how you basically live your life. And this is like your standard. You don't know better because you've always done it that way. But when you show up fully for yourself, all of a sudden you raise the standard in all other areas of your life.
Well, and I remember, um, so you're coming on my podcast too. I'm very excited. Spoke to a woman one day on my podcast, and she was trying to help women understand that concept. And I love the way that you put it. That I mean, if you aren't showing up for yourself, that does demonstrate to the world also how to treat you,
Mhm.
right? So I'm not putting myself number one, so neither you don't have to either. And if you're not putting yourself number one, your children are seeing that you don't put they're not putting you as number one, and they're not learning that they should make themselves number one. You're making them number one because you think they're important, but you're not demonstrating to them that they should do that for themselves.
Yeah.
So you're always putting that expectation of your treatment to someone outside of you,
Yeah.
which isn't healthy, because looking for what you need from outside of you, you will never be happy, right? And you think about relationships, right? Yeah. You think about relationships, you're in a relationship. Side note, the person that I went traveling with in India is now my husband of 19 years. So
Oh,
we didn't plan it, but there it is. It just
who would have
happened.
thought?
We had no plans for that to happen. It was just, we spent 3 months traveling around together. And in that kind of intense traveling, we just really bonded and we were meant to be together. That's my belief. But if you look at, like, if I kept looking to him for what I needed, we do support each other. That was part of our agreement, that we were there to support each other's growth. That was our vows. We were there to support each other's growth until we felt that we were complete, really. But we just keep growing together, which is amazing. But if I kept looking to him for my internal needs of fulfillment and growth, and that was the only place I could get it, like, that is so limiting, because he knows me very well, but he can't know your intimate, true soul purpose needs without, I don't know, maybe if he's a twin flame, he gets it. But um, I don't know if I'm explaining this really clearly, but I could just get this sense that Your soul knows what you need. And there are souls you're going to travel with, and they are there to help you on your path. But only your soul knows your true path. And you need to connect into that and follow that light and let these other souls who are here with you to help support you, but you have the beacon, you know the path. Somewhere inside you, even if you feel like you don't know it, somewhere inside you, you know the path.
Yeah. Oh, amen. Amen. Yes, absolutely. And when we look outside of ourselves, we are blocking blessings. We're coming back to that.
Yeah,
And we're always looking for others, for other people to guide us, for other people to give us advice, for tips, for I'm we are blocking what is meant for us because we then only see our life through the lens of others. So I would love for you to dig into the blocking our blessings more.
right. Yeah. And even if that person is 100% on your side, if you keep going to that person to validate you or to somehow bring you onto your path, then you can't see because you're seeing it through that lens of them, and they can't see that full aspect of you. They can't see the fullness of you. They can just get a sense of it. Like I can look at mm, this tree outside my window and I can say, wow, that's a beautiful tree, but I can't feel what it is to be that tree right now,
Mhm.
you know? So it's like they can't feel what it is to be you. They can just get a sense of, oh, what might help, and it may or may not be the right thing at the right time. So where am I going? My brain just turned the tide. Give me that question one more time.
Please dig deeper into blocking our blessings,
Blocking
how
our
we do that
blessings.
and how we can
Right.
unblock them.
Unblock. So trust is so huge because even when things aren't working out, they probably are working out. So
Mhm.
finding a way to trust that whatever's happening around you is the right thing. And the biggest block I think we have in looking in that external is, I alluded to it earlier, I think, is not taking responsibility for yourself. So saying that, something outside of you is the cause of your happiness or your unhappiness, or you can't do something because of something outside of you. This is you blocking your blessings, but also disempowering yourself. You're not recognizing the power that you have to be, I call it the master of your domain. I am the master of my domain. This is my domain, and I make the decisions what happens to this person, this soul, and this body. And even if something happens unexpectedly, like I went to Egypt in December. Yes.
Ooh.
You must go. And I was in Jordan. I went to Egypt first, and then I was in Jordan, and I fell and I broke my wrist in the desert. And it was just one of those nudges that I needed from the universe. It knocked me over. I was standing on flat ground. I was tripped over a rock, and I mean, they were kind. They did it at the very end of the vacation. They sent me to some beautiful people. I went through 3 different medical facilities in Jordan. I had such a beautiful experience, and I had surgery when I came home. So, my hand practically works normally now. But um, that was an unexpected thing, but I took responsibility for it. I said, okay, this has happened. No problem. I know what I'm going to do and I know what to do with this. It's a gift from the universe. Thank you. Thank you, universe. And I know I took responsibility for it. I didn't say, oh, my wrist is broken. Oh, poor me. I said, my wrist is broken and this is what I'm going to do. So, not, there are days that people are going to feel sorry for themselves. I get it. But don't let yourself stay there because that's not you taking responsibility for yourself. and no
Yeah.
one can do it for you. Like, it's like I'm also a personal trainer. I can't do your push-ups. If you want to get well, you have to do your push-ups. So when I broke my wrist, I said, this isn't the greatest thing in the world. I took a few lessons from it that I needed to take from the universe. By the way, the big lesson I got was in receiving,
Mm.
because it's my dominant hand. I couldn't shower myself. It was winter here when it happened. I had to ask strangers on the street to zip up my coat for me. I mean, it was a big lesson in receiving, because I had spent so much time going, me, 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 me. I can do it myself, which I still have that. But I also had to allow the receiving from others. So when I left my first situation and I took that responsibility for myself, I took it very strongly and very seriously. And then in some ways it was the best thing ever. And then my next lesson was, okay, but your next lesson is you can't allow other things in. You can allow people to help you. I said, okay, thanks. So, but that allowing of receiving is different than the expectation of someone giving you something you need. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a distinction there, which took a little while to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can resonate with I can do this alone. I can I can build a whole house all by myself.
Watch me.
Watch me do this. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think and just like you said it, the greatest power for us is to be able to receive. Because, like in the example before, if we can receive in one area, we are able to receive in other areas as well. How are we supposed to, receive money, wealth, love, if
Blessings,
blessings in any form, if we cannot open ourselves up into this receiving energy when we're just
right?
like pushing out and pushing away the whole time?
Like, yeah, the I can do it, I can do it, I can
Yeah.
do it. I don't need anything from you people,
Don't open the door for me. I can do this by myself.
even though your hands are full.
Yeah. I have feet. I can do that. Or with my teeth, I can also do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So I mean, I would encourage people to, and it's almost like you take a step. This is what I've been um, I've been reading the Akashic records for others lately. I've just done this training to open the records for other people, and all of these people have been blessing me by coming and letting me practice on them.
Mm.
And the message that I keep hearing over and over is, you don't need the whole path, but you need to know that you are on the right path or headed towards the right path. So, what you need to do is you take one step forward and then tune in. Is this the right way? Is this good? And do I feel like I'm moving in the right direction? Take the step forward for yourself, receive, receive, then take the next step forward for yourself, receive, receive. So it's like this back and forth of stepping, which is, deciding and then receiving. And your step forward might be a giving and receiving, a giving and receiving. But there needs to be this harmony. We'll circle all the way back around to harmony of this reciprocity of giving and receiving, and and moving towards that sensation. If it's a body thing for you, I'm very kinesthetic. That sensation of, yes, this feels good,
Mm.
this feels right. Some people get a very sacral yes. Some people, I get this kind of body feeling. Some people, it's pictures. um, my Akashic Records mentor sees the Berenstein Bears playing the drums when it's a yes. And or you just hear, like, they're tune into that intuition that you have naturally at that gift, and get a sense of what's the next step, what feels like the next step, and let the path unfold. It's an adventure.
Oh, and that was like the perfect closing sentence. Let the path unfold. Let it
Mm,
be an adventure. I love that so much. Heather, thank you so much for our conversation. This was absolutely brilliant and mind blowing. And I hope every one of you listening right now or watching right now had some golden nuggets, had some fireworks going on. And Heather, please tell our audience where they can find you.
So everything you need to find is on heatherstewart.coach is my website. And if you want a super secret, if you go to stepuptothrive.com, there is a special little pop-up. There's a little podcast there, which just takes you through some steps. And it's like invite only. So don't tell anybody. No, I'm kidding. Stepuptothrive.com. It's a 4-episode podcast that just says, try this. And then it kind of takes you through the steps of getting yourself unstuck, because no one's really stuck.
That is so true. And you know what? Everything that Heather just said, you're going to find in the podcast description. Also, the link to the stepuptothrive.com website. So, Heather, thank you so much again. Full of gratitude. This was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And if you liked what you heard, everybody, then please go and rate and review the show, because if you do, if we reach more people, I can bring on more amazing guests like Heather and bring you more topics of flow and resilience and harmonizing your life. I'm giving you a virtual high five right now because you are part of the Flow family. And stay tuned for next week when I'm bringing on another amazing speaker. If you don't want to miss out on anything, then go to my website, www.superwoman.coach, and subscribe to the newsletter where you get all the discounts, where you get all the news, where you get the latest gossip. No, we don't gossip. We just serve you in the best possible way to grow and to shine your light and be your most amazing self. And until next time, keep shining, keep learning, keep growing, and keep flowing.